our UN ambassador said, U.S. ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, says the U.S. will not comply with any ICC warrant or arrest warrant to arrest Netanyahu or Gallant. When questioned about expanded recognition of Palestinian statehood, she said, Palestinians as a group have not met the qualifications for statehood. Oh, really? Oh, really? Is that so? Why is that? Why is that? Why haven't they? This is insane. This is so insane. Also, I never want to hear about the UN again or international law because the US doesn't follow international law. All it does is run cover for the Israeli regime. They're literally, the US is just the meme of Abu and Homer. Or is it a poo? Oh, yeah, it's a poo. I was thinking of Abu. Okay, where is that meme? Oh, because it's not Homer. Never mind. It's, what's his name? What is his, what? Because again, exactly, who aren't deserving of statehood, which, first of all, tell me how you feel about this, O'Day, but I think the whole two-state solution thing is just a lie and a joke that the U.S. will tell its citizens so that Americans can feel better or Westerners can feel better, being like, oh, we're going to give them two states. They're going to have their own state. But like, first of all, I don't think the Israeli regime ever meant to give Palestinian statehood. I don't think it was ever the plan. And I think the U.S. knows that. I think that that was always a lie. And that was always the plan to just take the whole thing. And you can see that. Yeah. And you can see that it will never work. And you can see it because if you look at the occupied West Bank, they have infiltrated it so thoroughly and built settlements all over it, making it like Swiss cheese. There's no way to, like, even if, let's say, like in an ideal world, the settlers gave all of the occupied West Bank back to the Palestinians, it would be so difficult to actually move, or should I say the Israeli regime gave it back to the Palestinians to move all the settlers out. And they've done that on purpose to make it really hard. Yeah, Net and Google admitted it. Yeah, it's not feasible. So when they say, like Kamala Harris said the other night in the debate, oh, we need a two-state solution, they're just lying. Like, I am convinced that they're just lying, that they're just saying that because it makes Westerners feel like we're working toward the right thing. Oh, we're working toward a two-state solution. Because the thing is that a lot of Westerners, especially a lot of white people, they don't want to see themselves as like being racist toward Palestinians. So they do the tap dance. They're not like openly racist against Palestinians like Israelis are. So they'll try to make themselves feel better by going, yeah, we want a two-state solution so the Palestinians can have their state and the Israelis can have their state. And the West goes, yeah, we're going to create a two-state solution for them, which, again, is something that when I was super uneducated about what is actually happening there, I used to buy. I'd be like, oh, yeah, the West is working on a two-state solution. No, they're not. The Israeli regime never believed in a two-state solution, never wanted one. And then I think that the West knows that. I think America knows that. I think that Kamala Harris knows that. Trump knows that. Biden knew that. They all knew it. They just say it to appease Western audiences. But they know it's not going to happen. The fact of the matter is, what they don't talk about is the fact that the Israeli regime openly says they want all of Palestine. They always say, oh, the Palestinians, we can't negotiate with them because of Hamas. But the reality is that there's nothing to negotiate with because the Israeli regime wants all of Palestine. They want all of it. And Trump has promised to give them all of it. Trump told his donor, Miriam Adelson, that he will allow her to annex the West Bank. The occupied West Bank, I will correct myself and say. Yeah, I would have never known that because you always hear the Israeli regime talk about the Palestinian Authority as if they're so scary. Like, oh, they're radicals. They're working with Hamas. But like from every Palestinian I've heard from that lives in Gaza or the occupied West Bank, they say exactly what you're saying, that like the West Bank leaders are hacks, that they're just hacks and puppets. and that they collaborate with the Israeli regime. So I don't know what they're talking about. Boycotting is good, okay? Boycotting definitely does work. It just has to be targeted. Like, you need to do targeted boycotts. Otherwise, they don't work. That's why you should go off the BDS list and not just what like people on TikTok or Twitter are saying. Yeah, so she's lying, okay? Lies, more lies from the US. Also, again, a two-state solution is not going to work. It's just not going to work. Thank you for your support of Palestine. I appreciate it. Of course. I'm reading this. Borders. Wait, Fayman1X. You said there are 4 main issues Palestinians request that they refuse to negotiate with if they implement UN resolutions. Right, but what I'm saying is that there's no way to implement those UN resolutions of the 67 borders because they have thoroughly, basically peppered themselves all over the occupied West Bank. And they did that on purpose to make it impossible. Also, I never understood, and I still haven't gotten an answer to this. I haven't probably learned enough about it. Why the UN split or partitioned Palestine the way that it did in such like a haphazard way. Like, I know this probably sounds stupid or ignorant, but why, if you were going to give more than half of Palestine to the Israelis, why wouldn't the Israeli regime, the Europeans that came over, why wouldn't you just cut it in half down the middle? Like, why not just cut it in half? Why did they do that thing where they gave like a little piece and then they had like a little piece in the occupied West Bank? Hold on, I want to look that up. Map of Policy Forum. Yikes, this is a propaganda website, isn't it? Hold on. Is it? Okay, I'm going to go to a different website. But first, I like how it says, for a secure Jewish democratic Israel. That is literally contradicting to each other. Oh, the screen is not showing the thing I opened. Sorry, the screen's not showing it. Because the software that I use is only, and because I don't have a monitor, it's only letting me like open one at a time. But this white website says, for a secure Jewish democratic state. You cannot be a religious state and a democracy at the same time. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. You're either a religious ethno state or you're a democracy. You cannot be both. Okay. Palestine map through the years. Palestine map through the years. Okay, yeah, but first, as you guys can see, even from this screen, look at how they have just they're all over the place. It would be impossible to like split that now, even though it's insane that there's any green here. Because according to the international law, this is supposed to be Palestinian territory. So why you here? Get off my lawn. Yeah, bro, this is insane. This is crazy. And if you look, it just now has all these little holes in it. It has all these little holes in it now. Well, ironically, the UN and like a lot of international law was formed after World War II as a way to supposedly stop anything like that from ever happening again. Not just the Holocaust, but the way that the atrocities that happened in World War II. That's what's ironic, because what was formed as a response to the brutality of World War II is now being ignored by the people that say that, you know, we needed international law to protect minority groups, that we needed international law to protect minority groups from that kind of brutality. And now that same group is committing atrocities against another population while also ignoring international law that they said they needed. Yeah, this is so crazy. Yeah, so tell me, how are you supposed to make this 2 states? Wait. Like, explain. How are you supposed to make that 2 states? Yeah, that's the point. You're not. You're not. But again, what I was like actually wondering in the first place was, why did the UN initially, because this was obviously Palestine before they were before 1948, before they were massacred and Nakba'd and kicked out of their land. And then the UN created a partition plan to quote unquote split it up. But what I'm trying to understand is, why did they even do it like this? Like, why did they do it in this weird way? Like, why not just cut it in half, like split it here? Yeah, and they're doing this once again because they want all of it. The two-state solution thing was always a lie. The two-state solution thing was always BS. They're doing this because they want all of it. They want this whole thing to be white, figuratively and literally. And imagine Palestinian Authority on their borders having an actual military. Yeah, exactly, O'Day. Exactly. Which is crazy, because as autonomous people, you should. You should. If you were to have a two-state solution, then it would only be fair and just for the Palestinians to have their own military, their own airport, their own borders. Like, this is crazy that, like, this is even controversial to say, because in America, we would never accept that. You know how Kamala Harris loves to go, Israel has the right to defend itself. We would. Yeah, I know. You know what else we would do? We would never accept not allowing our population to have arms. This is the country, the Second Amendment. This is the country of don't tread on me. This is the country that doesn't even do anything when its children get massacred in schools because how much we love our guns. We're all about property rights in the United States. Don't trespass. I'm armed, the Second Amendment. And yet, we're also a country that, especially right now, is hysterical about our borders. Hysterical about our borders. As you can see in the arguments that we're having around the election and around the border, Americans are hysterical around their borders. But the Palestinians can't have their own borders? Why? If we're doing it from like an American point of view, the Palestinians should be able to have full autonomy, full autonomous borders. They should be able to have their own military, their own navy, their own airports. They should have everything that a nation state has. If we're going based on international law, humanity, and the international way that we conduct nation states, they should get all of those things too. So why don't they have them? So when she says, Israel has a right to defend itself, we would. Well, Palestinians have a right to have a military, and they have a right to have borders, and they have a right to have an autonomous government. We do. And with the long last name, the Panthers' rights. Well, they didn't accept letting the Black Panthers have arms. All of a sudden, 2A was a threat. That's the only time it happened, man with the long last name. That's the only time it happened. People sometimes jokingly say, but I actually think it's true, that if America really wanted gun control, we would be encouraging every Black person and every person of color to get a firearm. That, like, if people who are funding initiatives for gun control really want gun control, they need to make sure that every person of color in this country is armed, and then we'll get it. And honestly, they're probably right. That is probably the only thing that would change it, because it is the only time. That's how, like, the whole assault weapons ban in California happened in the first place, was because Reagan banned it so that the Black Panthers couldn't have it. Right, and that's also another thing, which I've talked about before too. The NRA didn't defend when Philando Castile was killed by the police, even though he had a registration for his firearm. He was registered, he was licensed to carry. And yet all of a sudden, when he was killed by the police, all the Second Amendment people just disappeared. Where was the NRA? Where were all the Second Amendment folk to defend him? Same thing with Breonna Taylor. When Breonna Taylor was killed, her boyfriend was firing at the door because somebody invaded his house. All of a sudden, where's the Second Amendment people? You guys got real quiet when it came to his Second Amendment rights and his right to property, because the right and the gun owners here love the property thing. We have our firearms for our property. Well, that's what he was doing. He was defending his property and his girlfriend. But all of a sudden, all the Second Amendment people and the private property people don't have anything to say when it was a Black American. Sorry to say this, but human rights are for humans, and they don't see Palestinians as fully human. Exactly. Of course. But that's why we have to keep fighting for them. That is why I don't care where you are in the world, whether you are an American citizen, whether you live in the UK, whether you live in Egypt, whatever. We all have to keep fighting for the Palestinians, because they At the very basic level of this fight is the fact that Palestinians are not treated like humans. They are not being treated as human beings. They are not being given dignity and basic human rights. Basic human rights. They're being treated as other. And like I said earlier in the video about banning the kafia, that is meant to legalize the dehumanization of Palestinians, to put it into law here. That's what is happening. They dehumanize Palestinians in their rhetoric. They dehumanize Palestinians in their policies. And now here in the United States and in the UK and in Canada, they want to ban the kafia because they want to delegitimize not only the struggle of the Palestinians, but they want to delegitimize their existence and dehumanize them further. So we have to keep fighting. We have to all keep fighting and standing up for Palestinians. Like, if you see that kind of stuff happening in your city, like, we all need to be fighting against it. I'm actually going to look into the laws that they're trying to pass more in New York to see what I can do to fight back against it, because that's insane. Like, we all have to fight back, because at the very end of the day, this is a story about a besieged population that is under constant attack. That we need to stand up for them, because they have no way to get out of this prison that they've been put in. And you either believe in human rights or you don't, for all people. Yeah, and that's also why they work so hard to try to make it illegal, BDS illegal, because boycotts, work, and they don't want it to spread. Abby Martin, I actually think, took someone to court for trying to ban BDS, and she won. But again, guys, that is going back to my very original point at the very beginning of this stream. It's going to be a constant, long fight. Like, I think that, people think that it's just going to be something that can happen overnight or in a single election. It's not. It's going to be a fight. It's going to have to be something that we do all the time, like going forward. To me, people are really hung up on the election. They're really hung up on fighting with me over the election. But the election is just one piece. The election is just one piece. This whole fight, whether it's fights for Palestinian liberation of people around the world, even liberation and fighting for my own fellow citizens here in New York and in the United States, it is not just a one-time thing of going to vote. It's voting, yes, but not just for president. It's voting for your governor, voting down ballot, reading in and educating yourself on the initiatives, the ballot initiatives, voting for those, and getting involved in local politics in your local community and fighting on the ground. It's all of those things. Yeah, Abby is really, really great. I've learned a lot from Abby. All right, you guys, I'm going to wrap this up because I have to go cook for my husband. Anyway, yeah, really, Joe said we need an anti-Zionist party. True. Anyway, this was great. I always have fun with you guys. What am I cooking? I don't know yet. I might try. I can't make gumbo. I want to make gumbo, but I have to wait for the Cajun seasoning, the spicy Cajun seasoning that I ordered offline to come. If you're not already in the Discord, join the Discord. Yes, but Thursdays. Oh yeah, and don't forget, you guys, if you're in my YouTube chat, first of all, don't forget to subscribe to YouTube and hit the bell, because they're always trying to suppress me here, okay? So they don't tell you when I'm live. But yes, exactly, May. I am a trad they. True. True. I'm a trad spouse. But also, I put that the poll. I put the poll in my YouTube community tab for you guys to vote on the poll of what days you guys think I should pick for my actual schedule, for my live schedule, because I want to be consistent. It's been hard for me to be consistent because I've gone out of town so much recently, but I want to be consistent. So I put the poll in there in my YouTube community chat. So vote on the poll, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and join the Discord just so that I can give you guys updates, or whatever, just so that we can also hang out. And also, thank you. I want to say thank you for everybody who has donated a super chat to this stream, who donates, in general, people who've donated to my Venmo to support my work, people who become members on Ko-Fi. You can also become a member on Ko-Fi. It's like Patreon. People who become members on YouTube, and people who just like support what I do in general. I appreciate you guys so much. You guys help me not only be able to support the work that I'm doing, but also you help keep me going with your comments and your funny comments and just like your support, because it can be mentally draining being attacked all day, every day. So like having you guys there to make me laugh and stuff also helps. It helps keep my spirit up. Thanks, Jaya. Well, if we wanted to start a new party, again, all the things we got to do are going to be a lot of down ballot work. Like if you're not familiar with ranked choice voting, get yourself involved with ranked choice voting initiatives. Because again, this election is not going to break the duopoly. This is work that we have to do consistently. And one of those things, the two-party system, like everything else I've said here, is something that happened over time. We have to like consistently work at it if we want to break this duopoly, which we do need to, because basically we live under one party rule and that needs to change. But it all starts with educating ourselves, folks. All right, everybody. I love you. I love you all. Free Palestine. And I will see you on either Tuesday or Monday, depending on which one you guys pick the poll for. Can you do a live just talk together in the, wait, can you do a live just to talk together in the chat? No politics if you want. You know what, Fua? Thank you for bringing that up, because I also forgot to say that starting soon, I haven't picked a day yet. I want you guys to help me pick the day. I'm going to start doing a monthly live stream that's only going to be for members, where we don't have to talk about anything in particular. We can just like talk about whatever. Like I'll do a stream where we'll just talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. And it will be for like YouTube members and like Ko-Fi members. Thank you for reminding me of that. I'll create a poll to see what day would be good that I'll do once a month, and it'll be like a 2-hour stream for us just like hanging out, the members. All right, everybody. I love you. Free Palestine.